So is AI coming to take your job? I'd say learning how to use AI as an end user is important to stay relevant, and those who ignore it and refuse to participate will become obsolete. But AI itself is not coming to take our jobs. And the primary reason is because our jobs are run by humans, and humans are really good at connecting the dots. This is why movies are 24 frames per second in the theater, at least they used to be, maybe 60 frames per second here on an iPhone. It's because we don't need it to be continuous. Our brains can fill in the gaps between the slides or the cells. So think of it this way. I took a course at the University of British Columbia, and it was taught by a lady who was from the Nootka band, the Nootka people. It was about Canadian Indians in Canada. And Indian is a term that's used. I'm not going to get into that argument. But it was respectfully taught that way. And it was about the history of the Indigenous people in British Columbia. And one of the stories she told us was two men were brought out of the wilderness and taken to Montreal. This is like maybe 150 years ago. And the guide who brought them to Montreal said, "This must be really confusing to you with all these street signs and streets and traffic lights and all this traffic and so on." And they said, "We could probably learn this because it's all marked out with signs and so on. But when you come back to our environment where it's the forest, it's all grown over, there are no signs. Let's see how long you last there." And the thing is, they knew their forest. They knew this tree was different than that tree. They knew that these three trees aligned to the way back to their house. Just like Aboriginal people in New Guinea would understand the jungle and how to get around and where the traps were and where the food was and how to get back home. I'd be lost. If I went on a hike through the jungle in New Guinea and I took my hand off the rope that's there to keep people like me on the track, I would never come back. I would never be able to find my way back to where I was. It would all look the same to me. And that's because the mind is such a creative tool for finding its way around and sorting chaos into order, even virtually. Our databases are like that. They have evolved. They have evolved like a forest that took 1,000 years to evolve. So that's a joke, not really that funny, but a joke in British Columbia. How long does it take to regrow a forest? And someone from the forest industry will say, "Oh, you can grow the trees in 35 years. Yes, you can grow a stand of trees on a clear cut in 35 years that can be harvested again. But you're not growing a forest. You're growing a stand of trees. There are no permanent animals living in that stand of trees. There may be a few squirrels. There may be some insects, maybe birds coming through to eat the insects. But you don't have deer wintering in that stand of trees. They're wintering in the forest. That took 1,000 years or more to evolve. The dead logs are just as important as the standing trees in a forest. And our data is like that. It evolved. And there are people who have been working with it for 30, 35 years, and they've trained the next generation to work with the data as well. And they're needed. We need those people. All the AI tools do is create bigger capacity. It enables these people to do their jobs faster with more productivity, but it doesn't replace them. They still have the core knowledge of how things are fit together, the undocumented tribal knowledge. It doesn't say where things are, they just know where they are. Things are duplicated by accident. They don't care, they know where to find stuff. Even coming in cold in my company, I've only been there for about 4 years. I still stumble over stuff that the people who have been there for 10 to 15 years have no trouble finding whatsoever because they just know where it is. And you can't teach an AI client to just know where it is. You can't impart 35 years of experience into a language model and suddenly it's just as good as Fred, who's been there since 1985. So this myth that is coming for our jobs is ridiculous. It is going to change how we work and we must stay relevant. And I know a senior product manager who really knew phones when we were at Cisco. He couldn't work a spreadsheet. He just never had learned how to work formulas in a spreadsheet. And it cost him his job because he became irrelevant. He couldn't do the forecasting because he couldn't do the simple tasks that the finance people asked him to do to update his forecast. It was a mystery to him. And that's hard to remember. In 2000, there were senior people in any organization who had started their jobs in the 1960s before anybody had seen a personal computer. They knew how to do stuff by hand. A pocket calculator was a new invention for them in the 1970s. I mean, this is a generation that saw coming from paper stored in filing cabinets to data stored online. It's an amazing transformation in just like 50 years. In 1960, IBM teamed up with American Airlines to create the Sabre reservation system to replace paper in filing cabinets. And that was a super investment. Only a major corporation could do that at the time. But then the costs cheapened and everybody has iPhones now. So, you know the story, we all have more power in our iPhones than the astronauts had on Apollo 11 to go to the moon. So going back to my original premise, there's so much subtlety and so much tribal knowledge and so much experience required to understand these databases that the AI tools will be a definite help in making these jobs a little bit lighter and a little faster, but they will not replace these people. My fear is senior management will get sucked into this story and lay off the people first and then find out afterwards they couldn't afford that. I understand that in order to support the investment that's gone into these large language models so far, they need to show $1 trillion of extra productivity based on the use of their tools, which means laying off about 10 million people. And guess what industry they're going to come out of mostly is tech. And they're going to be in for a big surprise and they find out that these language models can't interpret the tribal, undocumented language and understanding that goes behind these databases. So what can you do? Learn how to use these tools as an end user. If you're interested in development, please go ahead. But if you're just looking for a way to stay relevant, like you would need to have learned Microsoft Office in the 1990s, then see what people are doing, participate, and try simple things, and get used to it. Ease it into your schedule. It doesn't have to be a cold turkey cutover. It can be a little bit each week for a while, and then more and more, to the point where a year from now, you wonder why you thought it was such a mystery. That's why the way I like to learn, ease into it, turn it into a routine, and then I wonder, why was this such a hard thing to learn in the first place? It seems so easy now. Anyway, you can do this.